Hello everyone, welcome to NCERT 6 to 10 class in short. Today we will be discussing the question and answers of the chapter Tracing Changes Through 1,000 Years. The classes of this chapter has already done in the previous videos, so let's move on to the question and answers first. So the first question is, who was considered a foreigner in the past? So here the question is about the term foreigner is used in the past time means medieval period. Who were considered as foreigners in the medieval period? That is the question. So the answer for this question is, in the medieval period, a person who is not part of a particular society or culture, or who is a stranger or new to a village, was considered a foreigner. Unlike these times, nowadays we are considering foreigner means someone who is not an Indian. But in the medieval period, foreigner means a person who is not part of that particular society. Moving on to the next question, state whether true or false. First one, we do not find inscriptions for the period after 700. The given statement is false. We had inscriptions, but the usage of inscriptions were less because of the arrival of paper. So everyone were using paper, so that inscriptions had no use. B. The Marathas asserted their political importance during this period. So the question is, the Marathas asserted their political importance during this period. This is a false statement. The Marathas had no such importance during this period. Then next question is, forest dwellers were sometimes pushed out of their lands with the spread of agricultural settlements. So this statement is a true statement, because forest dwellers, when agriculture began its spreading, forest dwellers became homeless and they were pushed out of their lands. That means from the forest. Fourth statement, D. Sultan Ghiyasuddin Balban controlled Assam, Manipur and Kashmir. Ghiyasuddin Balban had a large area for control, and the given statement is false. He had controlled from the east Bengal to the west Afghanistan. That means Gauri to Ghazni or Gajjana. Next one, fill in the blanks. Archives are places where dash are kept. Archives are places where dash are kept. So the answer is manuscripts. Archives are places where manuscripts are kept. Archives are places where manuscripts are kept. So next question, B. Dash was a 14th century chronicler. Dash was a 14th century chronicler. We have studied in this chapter the name of a chronicler, that is Minhaj-e-Siraj. Minhaj-e-Siraj was a 14th century chronicler which is mentioned in our chapter. Then C question, dash, 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 dash and dash were some of the new crops introduced in the subcontinent during this period. So we have to fill up 5 crops, that is potatoes, corn, chilies, tea and coffee were some of the new crops introduced in the subcontinent during this period. Next, list some of the technological changes associated with this period. So we have to list the technological changes associated with this period. So it can be answered as, some of the technological changes were: 1. Use of Persian wheel in irrigation. Second one, spinning wheel in weaving. They have used spinning wheel in weaving. And third one, use of firearms in combat. These were the main technological changes of the period from 700 to 1750 CE. Then next question, what were some of the major religious developments during this period? What were some of the major religious developments during this period? The major religious developments of this period are the inclusion of new deities in Hinduism, emergence of Bhakti and the introduction of Islam. Then sixth question, in what ways has the meaning of the term Hindustan changed over the centuries? In what ways Hindustan had changed over the centuries? So it can be written as, In the 13th century, Minhaj Siraj, a Persian chronicler, used the term to describe the areas of Punjab, Haryana and the lands between the Ganga and Yamuna. The Hindustan was described as these areas only. He used the term in a political sense for lands that were a part of the dominions of Delhi Sultan. The term never included South India. By contrast, in the early 16th century, Babur used the term Hindustan to describe the geography, the fauna and the culture of the inhabitants of the subcontinent. The 14th century poet Amir Khusro used the term Hind to describe the same. While the idea of a geographical entity like India did exist, it did not carry the political and national meaning that we associate it with today. So, this was the changes that happened to the term Hindustan over times, over centuries. Hindustan was used for describing a particular area only in the beginning, that is in the 13th century. Now it is used for the entire country. 7th question, how were the affairs of Jadis regulated? How were the affairs of Jadis regulated? This can be answered as the affairs of Jadis are regulated by an assembly of elders known as the Jadi Panchayat in some areas. The Jadis were required to follow the rules of their villages, which were governed by a chieftain. Thus, the Jadis' affairs were regulated. Next question, what does the term pan-regional empire mean? What does the term pan-regional empire mean? It can be answered in this way. The term pan-regional was used in the sense of the areas of empires spanning diverse regions. The dynasties of Tughlaqs, Khaljis, Cholas and Mughals extended had pan-regional empires. That means they had vast area of lands. Then 9th question, what are the difficulties historians face in using manuscripts? What are the difficulties historians face in using manuscripts? So, there are many difficulties that historians face while using the manuscripts. So the answer can be written, there was no printing press in those days. So scribes copied manuscripts by hand. As they copy, they introduce small changes, a word or sentence. These small differences grew over centuries of copying until manuscripts of the same text became substantially different. This is a serious problem because we rarely find the original manuscript of the author. We are dependent upon the copies written by the later scribes. As a result, historians have to read different manuscripts of the same text to guess what the author written. That's the end of the question and answer session. Hope you have understood the answers of each question. So we will be meeting in the next video. Until then, bye and thank you.